what we're all here for, well, I mean, what I'm here for, is the book Nook we started the other day. Let me get the iPad on. Yeah, we're working on this little Japanese store book Nook for the Make a World Book Nook competition. To open it up, this is where we got to. Changed it a little bit, opened up the front, started modelling this tail, modelled this capsule machine and this fender machine. Now, the sun has set, the moon has risen. I've had some thoughts. I think what I'd quite like to do is, I definitely got bogged down in details. I did that thing where I blocked out a vending machine and then modelled it to almost completion last time. And it's not really what you should do when you're modelling, because if you block things out, you learn things, you realise the way stuff interacts, and then you kind of go like, well, that isn't going to work. And you just don't want to be at that point after an hour of modelling. Not that it took me an hour to model this up, but it might end up being completely pointless work if when you block everything out and you're like, you know what, this doesn't actually fit with what we're building. So what did you block out? We're going to try and have a little bit more of a stronger grasp of how things are going to fit together. Oh yeah, and obviously I modelled this little checkout area, which is just spectacular. I think for sort of sign, obviously I can't write Japanese characters, and do I hell trust the internet to make sure I don't put a sign on my shop that is something expletive. But yeah, I think a big sign up in this area, around about here. I want some refrigerators at the back, which I'm going to tell myself right now, I'm going to put a cub LED in so the chillers light up. I might end up just having the back open and put one of Bamboo's wireless RGB lights in. LEDs. We can get to that later. I'm already getting ahead of myself. Another thing I think I'd quite like to do something with this upper area where it looks a little bit more, if we go back to some of these concepts that were on the iPad, there's things like this where it's like a bit multi-layered. I think I quite like that. I mean, this one's bonkers. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's mid-journey for you. Right. Aircon units are definitely a thing as well. They just feel like they make... I think what I might end up doing as well is on this one here, it's like a tiled awning rather than what I've done, which is a bit more of a fabric awning, which just feels a little bit more Japanese. So I think I'll probably change the awning at some point. And then these sections here that are all like wood paneling is definitely going to be a thing. So like here, there's these like little extrude details that'll make up wood paneling, and this lantern. But yeah, something like this. So the other thing that I think I was kind of taken by was the idea that once we make this a little bit different on top, so it's not just a solid, like say for example, it's not just a solid block. So if we were to do something like this and bring it in, having a railing round here with a staircase, like a external staircase up. Now, none of the concepts have that in, so why I think that's a good idea, I don't know. I just think it's pretty cool, so I want to do it. So yeah, right, let's get to blocking some stuff out. So let's block out in here where we want the chillers. And I'm going to make these all separate so they can be printed separate, so it's easy to do them in different materials. So let's bring this back a bit so we've got a bit more room. I will bring back in the till just so we've got some idea of the spacing. I think I'll actually join those now. Actually, we need to cut that, don't we? We left that open from last time. Let's just hide the top for now. Tuxedo, yeah. So if we look here, yeah, I left that section out from last time. So let's select that curve, cut that, get rid of that, and then we're done. We obviously now don't need all these little ribs that I added. Yep, so that's all one piece already. Super. Right, so if we imagine at the back here, as I say, these are just going to be blockouts. I'm saying things that I know probably I'll not stick to, but I'm not going to go and start designing actual details yet. And let's just do them as individual chillers first. Right, and then we'll use the array tool, and we certainly don't need 8 of them, but we'll go about here, hold shift, bring it down to... I've got a ratcheted mouse wheel that is annoying. So let's just say they are chillers. So what we're going to do is we're going to group them, put them in a folder called chillers. That's what the professionals do. Sorry, I should mute my mic when I'm having a little sip of coffee. We're not here for an ASMR slurping stream, are we? Right. So we say there's chillers there, and then we probably want, I think I was originally going to do one shelf here, What I think what I might do is have 2 coming out. This is a spectacularly small interior, but yeah, I don't want to make it too big because essentially it's a book nook. I'm not actually designing a like a Lego world. So we'll just call these the basic block out of the shelves. So if we duplicate that and bring it down, we'll have 2 shelves there. Right, and then let's put these in a group and call them, can you guess? Shelves. You wouldn't find tips like this on Skillshare. Right, so let's just say that's the basic layout interior wise, because obviously it's not a lot of size, but it does what it does is it speaks a little bit to, it is a store and we can have some fun like with some little details on the shelves and things like that. The original design that was just doors was going to look a bit boring, I think. So I think being able to actually see in, that's quite a bit of work. And I think when you're designing like little stores and things for book nooks and stuff, it's that thing where the details, like what's fun about it. It's the bit that when you print off the little bits, you're like, oh wow, look at this little like capsule machine. You know, you print that and then you'll place it in there somewhere or in front of the store somewhere. Yeah, so I think being able to see in adds quite a bit. Now, bit that I do need to start thinking about is the sign, because that's what sells it as a shop. There's a couple of approaches we could go for. I think first of all, I might... Seems too tall now. Let's have a little look on Firefox at some concepts for Japanese. There was an artist, I wish I could remember his name, who drew these amazing like little paintings of Japanese storefronts and little like ramen shops and stuff. I can't remember his name. Japanese store paintings. Oh, they're actually South Korean. This was them here. Taeus Urban NASA, which I wonder if that's his real name, because that's very nominative determinism to be doing urban paintings as my my art. This is super cool. So this is the kind of thing, actually that's such a good idea to add in like a flume. I think that's because it's a restaurant and that's obviously got that from there. Oh, these are so good. I'd love to own one of these. This roof is interesting. Oh, so is that texture? That like giant tiles. Do I think I'm any further forward from looking at these? Do you know what? This is interesting though. That could be a really good detail for the sides. Like interior, I presume it's like the flume for like an interior aircon unit there. So that could go on the side. So let's block out a fire escape. Just realised that. I don't know what fire escapes look like. Yeah, I do. I've seen it. Japanese fire escapes, so that's a different thing entirely, but let's just go for it. So I think what we'll do is we'll do like quite steep, because fire escapes tend to be more... Actually, I'm going to think ahead here. I'm going to divide this in 2, because then I can just duplicate the first set of stairs, because it'll have the right amount if we're halved. So... and steal the angle, so we know we're all right on the angle. Let's just trim these off, just to have a little look. Oops. They must be connected. There we go. Right, so let's just extrude these out just for a little idea. Let's make it really narrow, because fire escapes are basically ladder width. These are external ones, aren't they? So let's think about this. Let's have a little look at fire escapes. External fire escapes. Interesting. So that's 2 width. I'm not doing that. So yeah, let's just do... yeah, but hang on, these would be a nightmare print, won't they? Ah, no, but we can just have it solid underneath and not... And then it'll just be at an angle that's printable rather than having to have these each individual step bridge, because that'll be a pain. Yeah, so just angle, steps, railing. Job's a good one. So I actually just now get rid of this, because I'll just use this line as for the array. So I'll draw a step, do an array as they overlap. They sure do. Let's get rid of you. That's one thing. Sometimes stuff like that, you've just got to be zooming in at the maximum degree to be able to see things. Right, so let's start off with the core of steps, which is the steps. steps from the front so we get the right width. Yeah, let's go with that. And then let's do a linear array. Let's pick this as our end point. And then let's add however many steps we think makes sense. That seems like an enormous number of steps. I feel that looks all right. This step not being on the floor, however, I feel like that would be one of those, like, you know, mystery steps that's like 1% off and everybody eats dirt over it. Yeah. And then let's expand this along. So this can be the, like, little walkway bit. And what I'll do is I'll duplicate this and I will bring it up to here. Let's actually just get rid of this for a second so I can attach it to that point. And then we will do an array. Again, yes, that lip sticks out. Let's just pretend that isn't there for now. You know what I did before? I did it so it's exactly half, so I could just take the same stairs, set the pivot point to there, grab it, snap it to there, and as you can see, it didn't work at all. Axis selected. Super-duper. Right, now where's that bit I got rid of? Do you know what? They don't match up perfectly. I'm just going to do the steps again. My idea to, wow, flashing. My idea to just duplicate the same ones again was not worth it. Up to here. Let's bring it out and then grab and change the point to the side, and then I can just leave it only on the X plane and snap it to the line so it's properly to the wall. Might as well actually just get rid of that one because don't need it. Right, so it's basic block out of the stairs. So because we use that line, I think we could just offset it. Yeah, cool. And this can be how we do our railing. And I think I'll offset it the other way to be the back. Yeah. Let's bring both of those out to the edge. Now, this is just, as I say, just the basic shape. Come in and like add the railing detail and the like later, but it's just to get an idea. Perfect. Oh, I might as well do it now, actually. Let's just get rid of, select all of this and isolate it. I'm going to get rid of those curves because they clutter my brain. Let me think. I have thought. See that one mouthful of coffee? That is the power of caffeine. I was lost. I was absolutely bereft of ideas there. One sip of coffee. Whew, I've had an idea. So my thing about bringing this underneath was to combat overhangs, which we can now see achieved very little because there's still all this overhang. Yes, it does give it a point, so you would be better off. But when it comes to the time of finally modelling, I'll attach all these stairs. Well, let's just try it with one for now, just to do a little example. And I'll do this. And then we've got even less. Well, actually, then what we could do is we could just bring it in like, yeah. And basically, we've got a step. Yes, it doesn't go out as far, but it doesn't need to. That then has, and in fact, we could actually do a chamfer rather than a, no, but it looks, although actually, do you know what? When you think about like concrete steps, sometimes they're, that might be the solution, but that's the idea anyway. So we can add a fillet or a chamfer under the stair, which then means it can, you're not going to believe this, but I've just had an idea. This could be a separate part and we'll print it on its side and then it doesn't actually matter. So you would print it in with this side on the print bed and then these aren't overhangs. So that might make more sense. But there's two options. We've got two different orientations we can go for. Whether this works depends on how the railing design comes together, because if I want a railing design that insets a little bit, then you're adding an overhang, or I've just pointed at my screen, which doesn't help anybody. You're adding an overhang in all of this space. But there's two solutions there, so we're not completely without ideas. Right, let's group all of these and let's call this stair. Right, so do we think that looks the right size. I think it actually could do with coming out a little bit. Ooh, why are you? Oh yeah, because we joined you, didn't we? It's going to bite me in the arse later. I know it is, but let's just go with it. So I am trying to just get to the point where we've got a little bit more of a baseline so we can start then diving into details, because details before basics is a recipe for disaster. That almost sounded like I knew what I was talking about there.